So you think you know how to use some measuring tape? Let's dive in and find out.
Ambition for the journey, and I still got it. Put a fire on a dream, and I still got it.
Hi, this is Pedro Carranza, and I'm an expert carpenter. Today we'll be doing a deep dive on the fundamentals of a measuring tape. Here in the US, we use the imperial system, which is usually measured in feet and inches. So half a foot consists of 6 inches, to where a whole foot consists of 12 inches. So to properly understand this, I will be breaking down the small fractions that make 1 inch indicated by your tape measure. 1 inch is usually broken down by 16 lines, but most people only understand the bigger fractions. So like when you're driving your car, you have your full tank, you have your 3/4 of a tank, and then your half a tank and your quarter of a tank. Today I'm going to be giving you guys a better understanding of all the small fractions between what is commonly known. So it starts off with the first line, which is 1/16 of an inch. If you look at it, it goes from 1/16. Then when we move on to the second one, that's 2/16. That can be simplified down to 1/8 of an inch. Then we move on to 3/16. Since this is not a number, it can be simplified. Then when we move on to 4/16, which is the fourth line, you can see that it can simplify down to a more commonly known fraction, being the 1/4 of an inch. You have 5/16, 6/16, which comes down to 3/8, 7/16, and then when we move on to 8/16, which that's generally known as a half of an inch. You skip a couple more, you go 10, 11, 12, and when we get to 12/16, that gives you 3/4 of an inch. 13/16, 14/16 give you 7/8, and then 15/16 and 16/16 completes another whole inch. So then that takes you up to 2. And knowing these measurements can greatly affect the quality of your work to be more accurate. And honestly, if it helps out, they actually sell measuring tapes that have the small fractions written on them, like your 1/8, your 1/4 inch, your 3/8. It'll be indicated just for the ease of use. The next thing you should know about the measuring tape is, with all the framing that we do, there's usually 2 that are the most important for me. So I always carry the standard tape for everything I do, but we also use this 100-footers. They sell a lot bigger ones, but for everything I do, this is usually what we use. The 100-footer, usually when I'm laying out a house before I start snapping out my lines that indicate where my walls go, I use that to just measure the foundation, because we always have to make sure that the concrete that we're building matches to what I have on the plans. If not, we have to adjust on the field sometimes, which is just part of it being a custom home. Another thing with all this is, with these tapes, it just helps out from like laying out all my 2x6 walls, to my floor joists, to my roof rafters. And it actually helps out because we have specially indicated marks throughout the whole tape. So if you look at it, at my 1 foot, I have a black arrow here. At 2 feet, I have another black arrow. 3 feet, another arrow. 4 feet, and you get it. As you keep going, every foot has a black arrow. And you can purchase any of these at your local hardware store. These layouts are usually indicated by the engineers, depending on the scenarios, the loads carried by the roof, the wall systems, or the floor systems. And we usually tend to lay things out 1 foot on center, 16 inches on center, diamond layout, or even 2 feet on center. And luckily for us, all the measuring tapes that we have, they just come with all these marks. So like how I talked about the foot having that, my 16 inches, when I pull those, there's black squares laid out throughout my whole tape at every 16-inch mark. So it goes from 16, 32, and then 48, and it just keeps going every 16 inches from there on out. The next handy tool we have is the diamond layout. Most of you might have wondered what the small diamonds on your measuring tape are, as you can see right here. So it's indicated by 19 inches and 3/16. So this diamond from that diamond is exactly 19 inches and 3/16 from the previous one. And you might be asking, Pedro, how does a diamond layout work? Well, just like with any other layout used, when used properly, all our material comes standardized. From my plywood sheets to my deck material to pretty much even sheetrock, any of the stuff that you do. And as long as you pull it correctly, no matter being the foot, the 16 inches on center, they always coincide. So if you see where my 4 foot mark is at, I have the black arrow for my foot, And then I also have the black square for my 16 inches on center. The diamond layout don't break on that one, but the way that it works is when you get to your 8 foot, there's a diamond layout 19 and 3/16 before that. So on my 8 foot mark, I have a 16 inches on center mark on there that breaks there. I have my foot mark, and then I also have a diamond layout. So as long as you follow those, no matter what you do, your material will always have a backer board to be able to nail right onto it. So with everything I've been talking about with the measuring tape, here's a couple quick tips and tricks that you can do to just make yourself better with anything you're doing. Tip number 1, if you want to describe, instead of me having to pull a measurement where I'm marking 4 inches and then snapping the line, what you can always do is you grab your foot or whatever measurement you need, and you go down on your material. And now you have a solid straight line that goes all the way down, and now you know where to nail. Second one is, if you're ever trying to have the exact half of any number on your measuring tape, just make sure when you guys do this, if you need a 4 foot, you need to know what the half of that is. It shows you right on the tape.
See that 28 at the very end, okay? Give me like 10 seconds, 6 seconds, okay. Awesome, got it.
Then the third tip is, let's say you're out and about in the field one day, you don't have someone to be able to hold your measuring tape, and I need to measure what I have from right here to this spot. You grab your handy tape, you fold it, and bah, you get the exact measurement. So right there I have 6 inches from outside to outside. No matter what it is, you can go longer, and with that, you can avoid yourself having to have a helper to help you out right onto it. So as long as you learn all these basics and fundamentals of this, from the measuring tapes and all the small simple tools I'm gonna show you, it's gonna help you guys become the expert that you need to be. Because my goal with this is I'm gonna be showing you guys beginner advice, intermediate things, and then we'll be moving on to the more advanced stuff that a lot of people tend not to really want to share that stuff with people. But my goal with this is just to be able to help you guys become experts on whatever field you want to do with this. So if you guys have any questions, any comments, make sure you guys post them down below. Don't forget to give this video a like, and make sure you guys stay tuned for the next one.